Hi, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. It's really nice to have you with us. I am here tonight with my good friend Chris McDonough and also Rob Feuerstein. You haven't met Rob before, but tonight you get to meet him. You met his wife a week ago, Natalie. Rob is one of our GIS intelligence analysts, and we're going to introduce him more in a minute. But first, Rob, how you doing?
Good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're really thrilled. Chris, how you doing tonight?
Mike, how are you? Rob?
Good. How's it going?
Good to see you, my friend.
Semper Fi, Chris.
Thank you, sir. Great having you here.
Thank you.
Well, we're really excited, and we're so thankful for all of you joining in tonight. We're going to actually try to just have some fun tonight. So folks, thanks for jumping on early. Sharon Lovely, Tasha McGregor, Kathy Drew, Diana Ledford. It's really fun for us, Rob. You've been watching and not sitting on the show, but you've been watching, and it's just amazing to us the kind of input we're getting from folks. It's been fun, hasn't it, Chris?
We're blown away and absolutely 100% blown away by everybody. And tonight we are going to absolutely have a great time. Mike, what is tonight, by the way?
Well, so we're really thrilled to announce the very first choir practice. And
the very first choir practice. And everybody here, welcome to choir practice. And what exactly is choir practice, Michael?
Yeah, so choir practice has been around for decades in law enforcement. And it was that kind of special time that came at the end of a shift when all of the officers who had worked a graveyard or whatever shift they were on would get together and kind of debrief. I mean, what did choir practice mean for you, Chris, as you were going through your years on the street?
You know, when my FTO, field training officer, I wasn't allowed to go to the first, 6-8 months of choir practice because I wasn't a big boy yet. And once I got out on my own and they got away from what they call the shadow car, remember that? Where your field training officers following you everywhere and making you write every report that we used to call that driving pine number 2 because of that number 2 pencil. And at the end of that, you got your first choir practice. And it actually started with Joseph Wambaugh, his book. Back in the day, back in the early 70s, the LAPD actually started choir practice, and it just kind of grew out from there. And Joseph Wambaugh wrote a big book about it called The Choir Boys. And we weren't that crazy, but at the same time, I'm sure back in the day, there were some interesting stories that would be shared. And it was just a time to get together. Yeah,
it really was a kind of a rite of passage to finally be invited. Now, Rob is a former Marine. Rob, I assume you had something like this that you guys went through.
Absolutely, but I'd say it was definitely something you don't talk about too much, and it's private affair, but you definitely have to earn your way to spend that time together and to bond together as a brotherhood.
Yeah, it really is a kind of a bonding opportunity and a place where you can share things that maybe you wouldn't even share with the people that are the most close to you because they probably wouldn't understand some of the things that you see. So folks, welcome to choir practice. You've been invited. You notice we made you wait for 6 weeks before we invited you to choir practice. And there was a reason for that. You had to earn your stripes and be able to come in and do that in this way. We've got some really fun things that we're going to do tonight. And we're going to kind of walk through those real quickly, and then we'll just kind of take our time and get through them as we go throughout the night. We're going to talk about Leila Cavett, and so many of you have weighed in on that. We're going to share a little bit about what we've learned thus far and hopefully open and make available to all of you a way that you can learn a little more on that. We're going to introduce a brand new thing. We're going to call it the location survey. And Rob's going to fill us in on how that's going to work. And we want you to participate because you're going to be able to see in real time, right, Rob? We're going to see in real time.
Absolutely.
People from around the world weighing in and showing us where you're calling from. And we're not asking for your home address. You can nominize this to the local police department if you want. We're just trying to get a sense of where everybody's at. We're going to just sit and answer questions like crazy and chat with you. And we look forward to just chatting with you. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Dr. Salerno and the chance we had to interview her, Chris. Maybe we can just chat about that right now.
Yeah, no, she was off the hook. And by the way, I think we should tell our viewers, this Marine here is a real hero. He's a real hero. We're going to hear from Rob here in a little bit, but just everybody, we want to tell you, okay, Mike and I aren't biased at all. We love everybody that serves in the Marine Corps, but I come from a soft heart in the Marine Corps. Whenever we get a devil dog on here, if you have family that's serving in the Marine Corps anywhere in the world, please let us know in the chat here. We want to give them a shout out. But here he is. Here he is.
Yeah, you kind of you switched me up. You threw a curveball at me, but I'm going to just introduce him now. Well, no, I think this was great, folks. You do need to meet Rob. Rob and his wife, Natalie, are GIS Intel analysts for profiling evil. This is something that I don't think you're going to see on any other YouTube channel out there. The bench that we have supporting us is absolutely incredible. Rob is also a solution engineer for Esri, the world leader in mapping. But Rob has spent the last 20 years working with first responders, police officers, and national security officers all around the globe. I've had the chance to sit with him in meetings where national security has been discussed and where we've seen some of the toughest problems facing policing. It's just an honor to have him here. But you'll see from these really nice pictures here, when Rob was about 8 years old, he entered the Marine Corps and he rose through the ranks. Eventually, he was working in Intel and running intelligence operations from a GIS perspective in Iraq for the armed forces. Rob, why don't you just kind of take a minute and tell everybody just what your background has meant to you and what you did that you can share, because I know there's a lot you can't.
Hey, thanks, Mike and Chris, for having me on. This is really great. So as a Marine, I was in signal intelligence, which means that a lot of things that I did, we weren't allowed to talk about and still aren't able to talk about today. But I got to learn a lot about technology and mapping, and that's really where I got into it. And really about location and understanding behaviors of threats and enemies and profiling and targeting and understanding where people sleep at night, where they meet, where their associates are at, and so that you can give those in the military and other organizations the right location to go and take action. And so that was kind of, my background, what I did, what my time in, and I got out and I continued that as a civilian. And then I took that and now I work for Esri, and I help others do that and use location intelligence to alleviate threats all around the world.
Awesome. And we have a lot. Oh, that's awesome. And welcome. We're great to have you on the team. That's for sure. And I see a lot of family members are jumping in here, Mike. So we've got some folks who are out at 29 Palms. Yeah, we know. We used to call it 29 Stumps. What did you guys call it, Rob?
Same. It hasn't changed. 29
Stumps, still the same. Yep. It was a park ranger, Kathy Drew. Welcome here tonight. We say once a Marine, always a Marine. Yep, that's a true statement. Let's see here. We got, my dad was a retired gunny sergeant. Tell us about the gunny, Rob. Tell us about the gunny.
You don't mess with the gunny. I learned on more than one occasion, unfortunately, what happens when you get on the wrong side of the gunny. It's not a good day, but at the same time, I've seen gunnery sergeants in the Marine Corps do some of the most amazing things. That's just the epitome of leadership. I'd say a lot of the leadership traits that I learned while in the Marine Corps was usually from a staff NCO, especially the gunnery sergeant, and all of their wisdom and their tough love, if you will.
Tough love.
That's awesome. Hey, Rob, this is a perfect time for us to introduce some of your skill set. Well, True Crime Junkie, thank you. It's so amazing. And Rob, you've been watching. I mean, we have amazing folks to see Miss Sophie on here. True Crime, absolutely love y'all's show. Also, husband was in the Marines and brother-in-law currently stationed in Hawaii. 2 nephews and a wife in the Navy stationed in Virginia Beach.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Isn't that amazing?
Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank
Mike.
you. No, Rob, let's take a minute before we recognize a whole bunch of other people. we've got over 500 people on the chat so far right now. Let's give them a job to do, and let's introduce them to the new location survey for profiling evil.
Oh, excellent. So we'll give that a second to come up so everybody can check it out. And make sure everybody has the link to this. So once you get the link and you open up the survey, really simple. And like Mike said, this isn't about trying to get your home address. Just give us a city or give us the police state, whatever you're comfortable with, as long as it's kind of in your vicinity. We just want to know what area of the country, the world, where are you listening from? There's a search bar at the top. You just want to throw in a city and state or country or whatever works for you and fill that out. And then if you want to receive email updates for profiling evil, just throw that in there, and we'll make sure you're on the list and you're getting those updates. And then what do you want to see on the show? You know, do you want to see some more case reviews? You want to get some more expert interviews onto the show? Let us know. And so it's just a quick, easy way. Hit submit, and we'll get that information. And not only do we get that information, you can see it as well. And so we'll switch over to the dashboard, which is also on the website.
Now, this is really cool, Rob. Any kind of mobile device, they can log in, right? And they can just answer these questions. And if you don't want to put your email address, folks, you don't have to put your email address. That's only if you want to get updates from us. So take advantage of a really cool, easy way. And what we wanted to do is show this map to show where people are coming into profiling evil from all around the world. We're focused on the U.S. here, but we're moving it so we can see Europe and Asia and the U.S. as we do this. Now, Rob, keep us going. What's going on with this? There's already some stuff showing up on the map.
Yep, I can see the numbers going up already. This was sent out to the members earlier today just to let them provide their input and kind of test some things out. So we already have a few entries. But as the show goes on, we can check in and see how things are going and what the audience wants to see. Right now, it's pretty close. So, please go to the survey and let us know what you want to see in the show.
This is cool. So we're watching it tick up. So that means every time somebody's submitting, we're seeing that come in and we're getting a good feel for where people are around the world. This is really going to be fun too, because we have people, Rob, that have to set their alarms and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Some of them don't do it because they're in Europe or in South Africa. And so this is going to be kind of fun because we'll also see maybe another surge in about 12 hours when people wake up and watch the recording.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This is really interesting because it does give you a bird's eye view of just how connected we are around the world. And Mike and I are so grateful, and Rob being on our team, and Natalie, we're just so grateful that you folks are here, spending time with us. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. We're hoping that we can bring you the best quality information. And like we always say, we're going to be right down the middle. We have some opinions, but sometimes we're going to hold them close to our chest because we don't want to interfere with stuff. But at the same time, what we do is real life. I mean, we're talking about real people here on this channel and, real crimes. And we're hoping to bring you, some of the best experts in the world, such as Rob, who deal with this on a daily basis on an international level. And so Mike and I are just grateful that you trust us with your time and to be here at night with us. So just wanted to get
thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
The link for this, folks, is in the chat window. We also have got it on the screen where you can see it. And if you look in the description for tonight's broadcast, you'll also see it in there and the link to be able to go in there again. And for those of you just joining, it's just a way for us to see where members from all over the world are dialing in. And in just the last couple of minutes, we've had 50 people sign up. So this is really fun to just watch this tick up. So, hey, Rob, can we come back to this in a bit? Before we do though, absolutely. I wanted, if I want to see just where people in the world that are only interested in case reviews live, can I do that?
Absolutely. If you want to select the bar next to case reviews, it's going to filter out all of the selections. If you want to zoom out a little bit, and we'll get to see, there we go.
Thank you, Sandy Lee.
So there we go across the U.S. Everybody wanting to see case reviews, and then obviously the same for current
That's
cases.
interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to come up here, actually in the upper right-hand corner, the little magnifying glass there, this is on the website, this dashboard. So if people want to go play with it and you want to put in your, your city and you want to see just how many other Profiling Evil listeners are around you, you can do that. You can't get their information, but you can get an idea of, others that are also listening.
Go
So
Valo.
click on that
Your
can't
server.
decide button and just get that cleared off. Yeah, click on it. Well, there we go. So we haven't got anybody in San Diego. Is that what I'm seeing here?
That's what you're saying. We need to
We
get
got a
some
lot of
more
work to
folks.
do in San Diego.
Oh, there we go.
There's
Oh.
one. The first, yay.
So folks, we hope you enjoy doing that. It's going to be on the website, and what we really wanted you to do is see if, from our opinion, you really are becoming part of a big family of people that are interested in trying to add a little bit to cases, to be able to understand what's happening on criminal cases, maybe learn a little bit more about it. And holy cow, it's just a blast for us, isn't it, Chris, to just see where people are coming in from.
It's unbelievable. I mean, again, did we not think we'd have like 12 family members? I mean, immediate family, like our kids and our grandkids, maybe, and here we've made friends all around the world, and we're grateful. We really are. So I have a question. Mike, what do you think? Rob, kind of give our audience kind of a high level overview of really what does an intelligence analyst do? I mean, in terms of how do you guys operate on a day-to-day without, tipping anybody's hat, but kind of give our audience an idea of what exactly do. Thank you, Lucretia, Lynn, we're grateful. If you
don't, before you jump in on that, Rob, I just wanted to make mention that we have Darcy Ann, who's just joined up, Biz Mama, hey, Mystic Firefly, it's good to see your name pop up, and Cat H, Miss Sophia, thank you, and then of course Gabriella, thank you so much as well. Y'all are just fantastic, and this is just kind of a fun night where we kick back and have some fun. So thanks. So Rob, I hope that gave you 30 seconds to think about a non-classified answer that you can give.
I appreciate that. That's a question I think a lot of people want to know. They want to know the answer to, and they hoping it's mysterious. But really, an intelligence analyst looks at information, especially disparate sources of information, and combs through that, and it tries to understand what the situation is, and it tries to distill the meaningful elements of that information and all the data to support what the commander needs or the decision makers need, or what is on the top of their priority list, and try to paint a picture for them. And here's the key: is what they're really doing is trying to provide information that is not common, and they're trying to make sure that there's an additional understanding based off of data or knowledge that is not readily available. And so that's where a lot of times this is classified, because that data and information that they're taking advantage of is coming from secret sources. And so that what really gives intelligence its edge is the information and the data that those intelligence analysts utilize isn't common knowledge. And so a lot of analysts will specialize in a particular area or a region, and that's what they do is they get to know that area much almost like a historian in a way / reporter, if you will, like a journalist in a lot of ways. And they just try to stay up to date on their topics of interest, their subjects, and make sure that their decision makers are up to speed every day or week or whenever they're called upon to provide those intelligence briefs or summaries.
I think it's really interesting to me, Rob, as I've talked to you over the years on the domestic side, and of course, as I reflect on what you did in the military, folks sometimes think this analyst job's just kind of a piece of cake sitting in the back room and having a soda and a donut while you work through the computer. But maybe you could just touch on the responsibility that rests on your shoulders when you're doing this, knowing that in a military situation, lives are at stake. And of course, in a law enforcement situation, that you are trying to bring a reign of terror to an end, like in these serial killer cases.
So I'd say first and foremost is you have to take your personal feelings the best you can. You're always going to have some level of bias as an analyst, but you need to try to look past that and represent what the data is telling you, and make sure that that is what is in your intelligence brief, and not what you wanted to say, but what's actually happening. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And like you said, also in a lot of situations, it's life and death. Intelligence, 5 minutes too late is worthless. If something has already occurred, you need to make sure that information is put out timely, and people can take decisive action and change course as needed. But yeah, it's one of those things that you definitely have to be expedient about, and make sure the right people get the right information.
That's an interesting comment. 5 minutes too late is worthless. That, boy, doesn't that encapsulate the type of pressure sometimes that folks like yourself have battled through. I'm grateful that you're a great American, and quite frankly, that you're on our team, in this country, and for your service. And, we've got other folks in here. Melissa, thank you so much. I think Mike mentioned that, but we have one question that says, did I know Detective Dwayne Decker? I did not. I did not know him out of Lennox. So I just want to make sure that we're covering a couple of those. So for a law enforcement, one of the things that we would do is we would call upon, guys like Rob and say, make sense of this. And from, homicide investigators, they would do various things and give us various tool sets and kind of point us in the right direction sometime with modern technology. Have you seen a real evolution of where we're headed potentially? Mike, what do you think from your perspective, and your exposure into the environment? Where do you think we're headed into the future here with technology advancements?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had the privilege for the last 14 years of working with technology and intel people like Rob. So I can tell you it's an amazing opportunity for law enforcement to embrace. I think one of the challenges that we're seeing is that law enforcement hasn't figured out how yet to embrace this CSI that we keep talking about, crowdsourced intelligence. It's really a difficult step for them to reach out to the public and say, give me information, and then have it become actionable kinds of information. So that's something that I hope that that law enforcement gets better at. I think they have to get better at it because they don't have the budgets to put personnel in place. We threw out a couple of questions and had hundreds of responses within an hour or two. Just now, we threw a map up for just simple crowdsourced information. And this is in part a test for each of you folks, because the idea was just to see if you're willing to share information that can go up and be used in a way to help. Now, none of this is valuable other than seeing this point on the map and to see where your colleagues are. But the messaging is so powerful that anywhere in the world, people can be on their computers and they can be exploring and extracting data. We showed it in our little evidence film just a couple of days ago, where we showed where a group of CSI individuals from the PE family went out and they went through every bit of video footage for Yellowstone Park and found those Daybell kids. I mean, a law enforcement agency does not have the time to do that.
Yeah. And wow, that was crazy. I mean, to see that, because guys and gals, we want to thank you, because when Mike and I saw that, we were like, holy cow, this took a lot of time to get that done, for sure. Let's give a couple of shout outs. Maybe Sunshine, thank you. We're grateful. Jet Apache, I love these names. This is awesome. Let's see. Let's go through. My dad was a federal court reporter. My brother, OSI, SIL. Boy, all majors in the United States Air Force. Thank you for your family service and for your dedication to them. I'm sure they are grateful. Kat Seltzer, new member. Thank you. If you're new to the PE family tonight, Mike and I, this is our first choir practice, and we're intending to set this into stone. Am I right, Mike? We're kind of
Monday night will be choir practice, folks.
Yep. And it's kind of a Q&A. We're as you can tell, we're shooting from the hip here. We've got somewhat of an agenda. but at the same time. And we started with Rob up here, somewhere over here. There you go. And he's laid out Mike, explain what the banners up here one more time for folks just coming in.
Well, for one more refresher, Rob is part of the Profiling Evil team. He is a GIS intelligence analyst, and with his wife Natalie, they are providing us insight that I believe no other YouTube channel has. The bench is just amazing. And I just pulled up this map, and we're looking at this map where we invited everyone. You do not have to be a member of Profiling Evil. You don't even have to be subbed. You can weigh in, but if you haven't subbed, we'd ask you to please consider doing that. It really is beneficial for us, and we just really like seeing those numbers continue to climb. But we've watched 200 people in the last 20 minutes show their locations from around the world. And if we were to zoom that map back a little bit, we'll see that it's just not the United States represented. We have folks from Southeast Asia, from the European continent. We have just a really neat smattering of things coming in. I really want to see that Asia and Russian continent open up just to see if we're getting through over there. But we have so many friends that have started to show up from the UK. And we're really excited about that because a lot of you are staying up really late tonight to be able to weigh in like that. So please continue to fill that out. There's no obligation on the email address. You only put that in if you want to be contacted by Profiling Evil. And I don't know, Chris, did we call out Melissa Crone Carvel? Thank you. You guys are the blessing to us. Cheryl Parks. Rob, the question's going to be one that you might have to answer offline about whether you live in Eagle or not. Mystic Firefly, we talked about you earlier, but it's always great to see you weigh in. Spirit's Heart, thank you. Folks, chuck your questions up as you have them, but we have one for you right now. It was an assignment we gave you about a week or 10 days ago. We're going to give you a minute to weigh in. And the question is, if you remember, who is Jigsaw?
And Dewey, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, remember.
You have 1 minute. Who is Jigsaw?
So back in the day, Mike, if our FTR, our field training officer said, hey, King, I need you to find out and tell me who Jigsaw is. And you had an extended period of time, right? You jump right into that. So when we gave this assignment, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of responses we get here.
That's true. We're going to know how well people follow instruction when we gave it to you 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago. Hey, folks, those of you who are not members, you can sign up on that map and put your location. You do not have to be a member. You don't even have to be a sub. We are just so thrilled to have you here. And hopefully what we roll out will be of value to you, and you might choose to join somewhere down the road. Bambi Golden, thank you, and Libra Scales. It's Mary Wild. It's really
Carolyn,
awesome to see you
in
all.
here. Carolyn's okay, Carolyn. Where'd you go? You just jumped up here. Yes, you're getting close. Absolutely, keep going. You're on that track. Carolyn says he was a detective, one of the most famous that lived, that existed. Okay.
While you're getting ready to answer, Arlette Bernier, thank you. We just feel really honored. And Robin Gibson, thank you. My three rosebuds. That's funny. Are we your three rosebuds, or is that just really your title? Mike, Chris, and Rob. I like that. That's pretty funny.
She's on it. You're on it. Keep going.
All right. Raul,
okay,
yep.
Raul,
So, Chris, you might have to tell us a little bit about Jigsaw.
Okay, so if you guys all go to Wikipedia, you'll see John Patrick St. John. He was from February 1918 to 1995. They used to call him Jigsaw John. And right there, Raul, you've got it. A prophetic LAPD detective. He was the detective's detective. That's right. I had an opportunity to meet him in 1991. Okay, one time, and I met him at a CHIA conference. It's California Homicide Investigators Association, and he was a legend in that time. He served over 43 years, LAPD robbery homicide. This guy, he started in 1949. He was, let's see, when the department's homicide division merged in 69, his first assignment was the Black Dahlia. Mike, that case is like crazy.
It's still
right?
famous.
It's still famous. He worked until his retirement in 1993. He worked that case all the way up to his retirement. His nickname was Jigsaw John, and it originated early in his career because of a dismemberment case that he put together that occurred in Griffin Park in LA. And the victim had been cut up jigsaw style. And that's how he got his nickname, Jigsaw John.
Yeah.
But you're right, guys. He was the most famous, probably homicide detective ever that existed. And we want to pay homage to him tonight. We're grateful that you guys took a look at him and get to know a little bit more about him. There's a lot online about him, and they've done a lot of shows about him. So today, I think he probably would have solved 3 times as many crimes with guys like Rob and others with the technology that's available. So thank you for doing that. We hope you had fun looking him up. And
Case closed, right? Case closed on that. Yeah.
closed on-
Hey, Rob, take us back to the map and just chat that up a little bit. Let's see how the numbers are coming along and just remind people what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody. So just here in the last, what, Mike, 25 minutes, we've had 250 people go ahead and vote and submit their entry. Let us know just what city they're in. You know, we don't need to get location information down to your house. Just kind of give us a whereabouts of where you're at. And what do you want to see on the show, so we can get a good understanding of what the audience is interested in. We're going to take a look at this and look down, and geographically, this is important. If there's a lot of interest for case reviews, maybe we'll look at geographically cases or current cases for that geography, and put that up for a vote, and take a further look at some of the things that are going on in your neck of the woods.
So let's just select one of the points on the map and show folks that none of their information is getting out. So I want to make sure people know that. We got about 740 people who have signed in now. Some of them may not know how to do this, so we're going to go back and have you just hit the little form to fill that out. But if there are any of these points, you're going to be able to go to profilingevil.com and just go to this map and play with it yourself. But you can select any point on the map, and when you click on that, it's just going to pop up with a little box that doesn't really tell you anything because we've blocked it all out. Other than I think we've got it so it'll tell us what programming you want to see. So and it looks like our guide is having a hard time clicking there. But Rob, let's go to the form and just talk through the form real quick.
Absolutely.
And then we'll come back and visit this. 400 already. That's awesome.
That's very impressive.
Andy Snapping Crayons. That is like one of the funnest names out there. And I think we also need to give a shout out to our mods from the other night, while we were with Linda. Thank you, guys and gals, for so much for supporting us over there. It was a great fun, great show. Anna Pena, thank you. Appreciate seeing you. Okay, go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, everybody, for filling this out. Amazing response. So once the form opens up, you can either click on the map or just go into the search bar and put a location in there. And then just real quick, for those of you on mobile, you may have to hit the bright yellow back arrow above the map to get you back to the form, just in case that happens. Hey, and if you want, you don't have to. If you want to give us your email address, we can get you some more updates on the show.
Israel is in the house. Welcome.
And then let us know what you want to see. Just click on some content that you enjoy or you want to see more of, and hit submit, and that's it. No personal information, completely secure, nothing. Just just letting us know what you want. And if you want some more information, we'll get that to you. But thank you, everybody.
That's awesome. Hey, Melissa had kind of an interesting question. We're going to throw it up there just because I'd like to know. Black Dahlia was never solved, was it, Chris?
No, it wasn't. There was a lot of theories behind it, right? That the doctor, and he was a surgeon, and he had a lot of skill, and that victim. As you remember, Michael, that there was a lot of specific type of surgical type of dismemberment that took place there. So it was a crazy case.
Yeah, those become so fun. I always, when I look at those whodunits, I think of the old game and the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and who really is responsible. Am Pena, thank you so much. Now, Summer is saying, I'm bad. I should be working. You are working, Am, and thank you for coming in. It's just really fun to see y'all. You know what, Chris? I'd like to, if you got a couple things you want to chat about, and then I want to share something.
No, GIS fan, cool cat lady. She's a GIS fan. I wonder how many people know what GIS is.
Well, there you go, Rob. Could you maybe explain that, and then and maybe that individual will tweet out to all of our GIS nerdy friends how much they can have fun in this. And by the way, I work in GIS, so I love GIS. Rob, tell us what GIS is all about.
So geographic information systems. Taking the science and the technology of geography and putting it within computers and servers and across the web and the cloud, and sharing information, creating information and data, painting a picture, just like we're doing here. Who are our viewers, where are they at, and what are they interested in? So we're using GIS here today, all of us together, and painting that picture to better understand the interest of the audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Andy Snapping Crayons asked if she can see, or we can share sometimes some of the old interrogation videos. Well, we did show you Brandon Wilson with Matthew Checky, and I hope you go back and look at that if you didn't see it. And absolutely, in fact, just about 2 weeks ago now, Chris and I interviewed a serial killer and a serial sexual rapist. And we're gonna release that at the right time and talk to them. They've been incarcerated now for the last 30 years, and you'll be amazed to hear them even still today trying to normalize their reign of terror, and it's really quite amazing. Mary Deathy, thank you so much. That question on Hodel and his father's handwriting has always been an interesting one. Miss Chris, new member, thank you. Ellie, new member. It's there are so many cases. I think we're going to be doing this for some time, folks. This Profiling Evil channel.
Yeah, I think, and because of you, we're learning. We've made mistakes, and we apologize if we've made mistakes. But we also know that that's part of the learning curve. And yes, we're going to be profiling a lot of cold cases, we think. Who created GIS, Mike? That's above my pay grade.
Well, I love that one. There are arguments about who created GIS, but I'll tell you, in my opinion, the father of GIS is a fellow named Jack Dangerman, and Jack and his wife 50 years ago created a company to manage GIS. They started out in the landscaping business and developed an incredible geographic information system solution that now is the largest in the world. And we're so honored to have them sponsor and help us here at Profiling Evil. So that's nice. You teed us up, Manuela. But I don't know, Rob, is there a name beyond that?
Yes, Dr. Roger Tomlinson.
Yeah, we all got to know Roger before he died a few years ago, and he was an incredible human being, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, let's see if there are a couple questions there, Chris, and then we'll maybe hop over to something else that I got in mind.
What do we got here, Michael? Let's see here. Cold cases need to be profiled. Yep. Summer Dawn, thank you. Do you think CD books could be confessions to possible murders? Do you think CD books could be? You know what? That's interesting. That's an interesting question. Are you, Summer? Elaborate a little bit more what you're thinking there for us. So when you get a chance, share. Go ahead and type it in, and we'll come back to it. But so, are you suggesting that potentially folks who have committed homicides can, bang out a book as a result of that, and maybe do a podcast? Is that where you're going there? She thought Betty Smith thought it was going to be singing choir. So did I. And when I first started police work, I was like, choir practice. I don't, it's a totally different. This is choir practice where we just sit and we chat it up, and you decompress, and you talk about cases coming up, and you talk about incidences, and you tell war stories. Basically, that's what this is. So, welcome to the first one.
Hey, folks, there are a lot of you asking about have we heard of certain cases? Man, there are so many missing persons, unidentified bodies, and unsolved murders and sexual assaults. But that's why we set up the evidence room. And Chris, maybe you could just chat up about what the evidence room is, and then I'll get ready and we'll talk a little bit about Leila Cavett.
Sure, absolutely. So we know, Mike and I understand completely that it is citizens who solve crimes. As investigators, our experience has shown us that your case is only as strong as the strongest lead. And those leads all generate from either eyewitness testimony and or somebody said something, and then it sorts itself out and ends up on the investigator's desk. So what we did is we created a place for that type of information to flow. Now, the first thing we want to tell you right up front, though, is if you have firsthand information about an active investigation anywhere in the United States, our first desire for you immediately is call that agency and report that incident. You will be surprised, just one small piece of information can make a difference. But if you're also stuck and you feel like you just can't go in that direction, call the anonymous hotlines that exist, or call Crime Stoppers. All of these resources are there for you. And then as the last resort, if you have information about a particular incident and or you want to share just thoughts and ideas about ongoing cases that we're having fun with here and we're trying to make a difference, this is where you would go. Mike set up the evidence room, and here, this is where you're going to make us aware of certain situations. And we don't ask for a lot of information. It's, your name is optional, your email. We do need your email, though, because if it did turn into a scenario where we had to pass this on to LE, they're going to have to know how to get hold of you, to be honest with you. And so this gives you an idea of where you can place, certain data. And Mike and I see this. Mike, share again about the Yellowstone video, how that kind of came about through this. And
I think what I'll do is share a different example in just a moment as we talk about Leila. In fact, I'm going to just go to that while we do. Many of you have been following the case of Leila Cavett. This is the young woman who disappeared from her home in Georgia. She's a young mom, a little 2-year-old son named Camden. And if you have been keeping up on any of the contact on that, and Chris and I have been following this case really closely, we found a couple of things that were really interesting, and we decided just to throw those into a story map. And we'll kind of go through that story map and then tell you where you can find it. If you haven't found it already, it's in the community tab, and we'll post it up again. But Leila left home abruptly. No one could understand why. And she traveled to Florida, where she met up with someone and disappeared. Well, as the case has unfolded, we've learned a lot more about who she met up with. And as part of this, we thought we'd just take advantage of this technology of being able to show things. We leaned upon people like Rob and Natalie, and we said, hey, let's start looking at this case a little differently. So I'm going to just walk through this story map so that you can go and do the same thing when you're ready. But as we go through it, you're going to find there are a number of things. There are going to be maps. And of course, we love maps. And these maps are made so that you can move those around. You can interact with the map. You can zoom in on things. You can zoom out. You can do all kinds of really fun things on the map while you're working. But down the side, we know that today formal charges were filed against a guy named Shannon Damar Ryan in the case. So we're going to kind of tell you the end as we know it today. But then we're going to work backwards from there and talk a little bit about some of the things that were found. So I'm going to come back to this affidavit in a minute that was filed that tells us the rest of the story. But Leila lived in Dawsonville, Georgia, and she was there with her family. And according to family members, she did something that was completely out of character. She just got up and left. Now, 2 days before she left, or actually about a week before she left, she reached out to one of her sisters and they were having a FaceTime chat. And this was really important because there was no mention from her about anything that was going on in her life that would have suggested that she was leaving town. But all of a sudden we see this real interesting behavioral change, Chris, that maybe you can just chat a little bit about. But it was the day before she disappears, she starts calling people and asking for money. She reaches out to the father of her child, and he wires some money to the local Walmart store. And the Walmart store is located down here on the map. And in fact, we actually built in this story map a way for you to get there more quickly. Take me to the Walmart. If you click on that, it's going to take you right down to where the Walmart is. You can look around, kind of explore the area if you want, or we can go back to where she was before. But she starts calling in favors, and she says, hey, I need some money. He wires $60 to the Walmart. At about that same time, she also is reaching out to another family member and borrows some more money. And then one of our Profiling Evil family
members,
and Dra Latina, and people always smile when I say that, but Dra Latina found some really cool things that I want you to just talk about. But first, take a moment and tell us about this abrupt behavioral change and why that's so important in an investigation.
So this goes back to the victimology aspect. And as Mike has shared, one of our past videos, if you have not seen, go back in our channel and you'll see a video on the victim continuum. Okay, in this particular situation, you have this young lady who seems to have somewhat of a stable environment going on in a certain geographic region, and then all of a sudden, you start seeing these types of behavioral changes. She's putting things on up for sale. She's trying to get additional money. And this is kind of out of character. And then you start seeing, this behavior start moving to another geographic location. But her son is also involved in the circumstance. So this automatically raises a lot of red flags, and automatically it did, with the family as a whole, enough to where they immediately started to notify law enforcement. So the first thing an investigator would do is, so tell me about Leila. Tell me about her. And then you would start looking for those shifts and change. Go ahead, Mike. And then
so while you're hitting on that, I want Rob to kind of step in here and share why geography becomes so important in an investigation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at an individual's behavior, and people have patterns in their everyday life, and geography is very key to understanding how people behave and they act. And when people are outside of what you could call their anchor points or home base, or they tend to act very differently. And so those are cues that you can identify through different means to identify that somebody is out of the norm. They're not following their day-to-day path. And so you can just use geography to also look at potential relationships as well. Where's somebody going? Who are they talking to? What are they doing? Why are they there? Why did they take that route? Lots of questions all related around geography. What time of day? Why would they be in that location at that time, on that date or day of the week? There's all kinds of things that you can look into: the data, the geography, the terrain, the surrounding area, the imagery, to better understand why that person was there or potentially why they're there.
So, Rob, when you were plotting out potential routes of traffic, this makes pretty good sense to me to go from what is marked number 3 in the top of the screen down to number 2 where the Walmart is, and maybe back and forth. I know that the pathway that's going on the west side of the map and then down to the south is the direction toward Florida. But it's really because we don't know the behavior here, is it? Because if she were stopping at Walmart en route to Florida, it would make sense to just travel straight on through from this point right here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so why was that route taken? And so were there any other stops along the way as well? So trying to understand leads to potential other questions and answers that can fill some gaps, because if you identify another stop along that route, it may have some significant importance that may be that piece of information that really starts to paint that clearer picture of what's happening.
Yeah, I really like that. So we see some additional behavior going on over that day, and we don't know whether she travels back and forth, but we see her, like you were saying, Chris, selling items. But then Draw Latina found something that I think everybody missed. And this is, folks, where you play such an important role in these processes as far as we're concerned in discovering. We cannot get enough eyes. Law enforcement cannot get enough eyes on a project. But here, I just thought this was awesome. When she found that in the background, and I'll just go back up here, in the background on this screen from her Facebook page, most of us just looked at this and said, oh, she's looking at headphones. In reality, we also can see that no, she was looking at this mail1.com or this dating site along the way, which starts to lean us toward this idea that social media is involved in this. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, yeah. I mean, you now have some potential elevation and risk level here, that she's gone from shopping to potentially meeting somebody out in the environment, which leaves all kinds of questions, right, that come to the surface. Is she supporting, certain habits? Is she, just kind of looking for, Mr. Right in the land of Cyberville, right? Is she, going through, and we can just keep putting the list up. And this would be one of these cases, Mike, where I think you and I would both agree that we would get a sheet of paper out and we would start writing all of the whys, right? This is one of these. So why is she up there? Why? And then again, all those hows will start presenting themselves, up front. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's awesome. And then as we move in this story map, we also could see there are links to go to newspaper articles, to video from news stations. But again, this story map is just kind of made to be really easy. So now we look at her pathway overall, the most probable pathway, because unless there are other pieces of evidence like receipts from gas stations or convenience stores, we're kind of guessing on where she is. But we know that she leaves sometime July 24th in actually her white GMC pickup. We learned today from the affidavit that it was actually a GMC, where everyone's been reporting for days that it was a Chevrolet pickup. She drives, we think, around 9 hours, because that's how long the routing suggests she should be taking. And she ends up at a Cracker Barrel in Florida, and there we see CCTV capturing her on camera. This brings out a really neat thing that I just wanted to chat with both you and Rob about, is the availability of CCTV in buildings, on freeways, everywhere else nowadays, and how valuable that is for law enforcement. So Rob, I'll let you take that first, and then Chris, you fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think CCTV, as we've seen in some major cases over the years, I mean, look at the Boston bombing. I think that was a case that I don't think would have unfolded as quickly as it did without all that CCTV footage that was combed over and key pieces of intelligence and information were discovered. I'd also like to throw out that nowadays, the number of cameras on people's doorsteps and how many cases and information. I just know the other day there was some packages stolen in the neighborhood next to us, and they caught the truck on one of those cameras on the way out. And so that information goes over social media. And I would assume, I didn't follow up, but I would assume they already found the guy. So cameras are everywhere, and that information. But like you said before, you need the eyeballs. You need people to comb through that, and that's where crowdsourcing or people getting involved to look over publicly available information and having a sharp eye could really help law enforcement get to the right information.
Yeah. So Chris, how do we use this kind of information like CCTV to support a story or impeach a suspect, or how do we use that in an investigation?
Yeah, the old hey, the bank camera caught you when there was no bank camera, right? But in today's day, they actually exist. And so you have all of this, and they're called VMS, right? Video management systems. And these VMS systems are just phenomenal for solving crimes because, as you can see here, you have a whole bunch of video information that shows up, and from there, an investigator can do a snapshot, do a trap on that particular picture, and then of course that again is released into the public. And our family members here, on PE and others, you folks, see this. This is a perfect example that Mike's laying out here tonight. You folks have seen stuff that I haven't seen reported yet, okay? But it exists. I'm sure it's behind the scenes. They've seen some things. But, you just seeing the fact that she was looking at dating sites is a perfect testament to the power of video management systems. A lot of folks see that when she comes out of the Cracker Barrel. I couldn't tell if she was holding her cell phone or if she's holding her purse and her cell phone. But that, if in fact the investigators are looking for her, and when she's coming out of the Cracker Barrel, you would see that picture, and we can go back to that later, Mike, but you'll see it looks like she's holding some type of phone device. If that's the case, you not only have a picture of that cell phone, now you as an investigator can start looking for tower pings and see if you can, start tying stuff in from that. Just a shout out to Dawn real fast too. Thank you, Don. Go ahead.
That's really cool. So Rob, something really powerful pops up in this map as we look at it, and that is the state of Florida's camera systems. And some states we've watched have full motion video going the whole time. Others have snapshots that they take. But how valuable is this in being able to identify a true person's route and what's going on, how many people in the car, everything else?
Yeah, absolutely key. Did they change vehicles? Which direction were they headed? Where's the last known location? And understanding that direction and last known location is absolutely key and can really limit the geography that you need to continue looking at for your investigation.
Yeah, it's so cool. So now we see Leila showing up, and she's made it to Fort Lauderdale and that area around there, Miramar, Hollywood, and she's bouncing back and forth between locations. And we know this because they've gathered and collected the cell phone data, and they've been able to manage that. We also learn a lot from Ryan, who now is starting to become a suspect toward the end. But what happens is we pick up a couple of really neat images here of Leila as she's running from and back to a gold Lexus that is later identified as Ryan's car. Now, the thing that's kind of cool on the map here is we see two things that become predominant in this particular case. One is the racetrack, which is the little convenience store. And the second is the Walmart that's located here in center screen where her vehicle's recovered. And I don't know exactly where the vehicle's recovered, but we see now that this connection occurs. And folks, if you go back to the video we did earlier on crime scene locations, think about the fact that there are 3 crime scene locations. There is the initial contact site. Now, some could theorize that the initial contact site was really that piece of social media, couldn't they, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That could have been the very first. Yep.
Yeah. Now, maybe it was just happen chance, but what we learned through the investigation is that Leila had actually been communicating with this Ryan fellow who considered himself to be a witch doctor since early January. So we see that this connection's coming together. And so the initial contact site may have been much earlier, but theoretically, we can pretty comfortably say it was virtual that this initial contact for this criminal episode occurs. Then we have 2 other locations, and we don't frankly know what those are yet. The second is the crime scene location. It very well could be at this very moment when an abduction occurs or something nefarious happens. And then, of course, the final crime scene would be the disposal site, or where Leila is recovered, found walking along the street, or whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it might be a recovery rather than finding this woman. But go back and look at those videos. And like Chris said, go back and look at our video on victim risk assessment, because this woman's risk changes dramatically because of the circumstances and the environment she's in. What really became troubling to us is today, as we read the affidavit on this Ryan, and you've had the chance to watch him, and hopefully you've watched him in the little videos, and I'm going to just skip ahead so that you can come back and watch this later. But this fellow just rants and raves and goes on about what his life is like and how he's being punished by the police. So please go back and take a look at this. But what we find in the end in the affidavit that is submitted by the police at the hearing today is that there were a number of things that were very troubling, and they point very strongly to Ryan having a much deeper knowledge. I think the most egregious thing that was really troubling people was the fact that this little 2-year-old Camden was left on the roadside. Chris?
Yeah, no. So that would go towards consciousness of guilt, Mike, in the interview room, right? So, guys and gals, so one of the things now that the investigators, had to get to after they hooked him up, after they arrested him, and you put him in that interview room, and you want to have that information that you have not presented in a public forum still with inside of your toolkit. And then if he starts presenting ideas, I mean, if you get a chance, go look at the video he put up on YouTube. He seems a little, like he's just not wrapped real tight, right? And then, he's talking about being a witch doctor and all this other stuff. But at the same time, now an investigator, has to start thinking about defenses. Is this guy going to come into court and start pleading certain things? And so you've got to be very, very methodical in how you interview this particular subject, that he has to understand right and wrong. And a lot of his actions that he took, which will be shown on potentially some of the video evidence. One of them is dropping the child off at Walmart when he brought the child back there, according to the information that's available. That's going to be critical, because that's going to go towards consciousness of guilt and the capability to make conscious decisions about criminal activity. So
yeah, and just one point of clarification, Chris,
Yeah.
and I don't think you meant to say that, but Leila picked up and met, it appears, Ryan at the convenience store, which is number 7 here. The Walmart is number 13. But Camden was actually dropped about 2.5 miles away near this apartment complex, not at the Walmart, but near this apartment complex. The thing that's so critical here is that Ryan's testimony early on was that he saw Leila and Camden load into a vehicle with 2 black males, an unknown dark sedan, and leave the area. We've seen this so many times when when suspects in crimes provide misleading information. Well, what the affidavit shows today is that clearly he's the one that drove the child to this complex and dropped the child off. Not only CCTV, but cell phone pings put him there. And to alleviate some of our fears, this little child didn't wander 2.5 miles on their own. It was only a matter of 30 minutes or so before a passerby noticed the child and got help for the child. Now, the 2 days previous, under this person's care and under a mom's care who's influenced by other thought processes, is a little troubling. But I thought we should just clarify that. But we would invite you folks, as you look at this, to go, and we'll put up again the link for this story map. Go through, have some fun with it, explore a little bit, and see what you come up with, and then continue to weigh in, because this woman hasn't been recovered yet, Rob. And I think one of the things that was troubling to Chris and me was that the suspect, Ryan, was caught on CCTV also using a debit card, I believe, that belonged to Leila at that same local Walmart. And there were two things that were troubling. One is that he was buying large plastic trash bags and odor eater carpet disinfectant and duct tape. The second thing that really frightens me, quite frankly, is that he was doing Google searches on his phone for what time the trash is dumped behind the racetrack and the Walmart. And hopefully that's led investigators appropriately so to go back there. But Rob, now using GIS and having that kind of information, what kind of opportunities does GIS open up for the law enforcement community in searching for this person?
Well, I think it helps with the focus. So knowing those areas, if there's searches about the racetrack and the trash, being able to just hone in and understand timelines and then gaps in those timelines so that they can hone in and find what may have happened and look for additional information, try to look at businesses, things like that, and try to correlate that individual's movement during a time period where it might not be known what they were doing.
Yeah, Chris, from a probability and possibility standpoint, a lot of people have rightly weighed in thinking, oh, you got to look for the Everglades and dumping a body in the woods. But all of a sudden now you have this really prescriptive piece of information. How does that change your most probable places to look?
One of the first considerations is time. How much time does an offender have with victim? And that is a perpetrator's largest enemy, because that clock is ticking, and the paranoia sits in, and there they find themselves, sitting in a situation that if it's an organized, situation, which, we have some elements of an organizational, type of physical evidence that's saying, with the duct tape, the bags, and all the other stuff, right? This guy he's consciously making decisions. So he knows he has this problem now. And so now he's looking for a way out. So you have to ask yourself, okay, so if he's looking for the dumpster times, the trash times, yeah, that's a probability that he could be, tossing that victim into one of those dumpsters and anticipating it's going to get to the landfill, and the cops would never find it. Okay, but he's actually fighting his own war within, and that is the time war. If he puts a victim in the trunk of a car, he's got a transport problem that goes up against time, because he or she is always consciously thinking about, is there a cop behind me? I mean, for goodness sakes, I drive to the store and I constantly am looking in my mirror, hoping there's not a cop behind me. Okay. Can you imagine if you had a body in the trunk, what's going through their minds? Okay.
Now add to that Florida heat and moisture.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And in a trunk, I mean, talk about an oven and that's going to be a problem that's going to extend beyond just, can I get away with it visually?
Yep. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Michael.
Wow. Well, this is an amazing case that I think we're just starting to see the beginnings of. We're going to continue to look for this woman, and hopefully they're going to find her. Hopefully they find her safely. I think, again, it's probably more like a recovery based on what we're seeing, and I hope that's not the case. Her family jumped right in and went down there and has been working very closely with law enforcement. Law enforcement, I think, has been working around the clock. But now we're seeing some other tentacles of a case that we talked about a short time ago, and that was the Lauren DeMolo case, and people suggesting that maybe there were some relational things there as well. So, folks, there's a lot more to come on this, and we don't know the answers yet, but this is going to be an interesting case to follow up. So, please continue to weigh in on that.
Yep, that would be an interesting overlay for sure that our viewers have suggested. So, we're aware of it. Good.
Yeah.
What else we got on the hatchet here, Michael? What's up?
Well, why don't we look to some folks out there and see what they're talking about and answer some questions if we can. Betty Smith has a question that Leila was on camera at the racetrack by the driver's side open door of a Lexus. Actually, it was it was a gold Lexus, Betty, and it was the vehicle that was owned by Ryan. He has already acknowledged that they were together and going in and out. And members inside of the racetrack, from testimony that we're seeing through the newspapers and others, is that they recognize the two from pictures. And you hit it right on. The bumper was missing off of the front of that Lexus, and that's actually what helped ID the Lexus in the neighborhood where this child was dropped off. So we see that really strong piece of evidence to tie those together. What else we got up there, Chris?
We've got a lot of people, just a lot of our friends here just weighing in, and Mike and I want you to know, and Rob, we are grateful that you all are here tonight with us. We got VP, Hussy Mouse. I love these names. These guys are obviously putting the work on this channel. It boggles the mind that other creators haven't figured out this key to success. Hard work, respect for. Thank you so very much for your kind words.
Oh, man, I'll say thank you.
And we're grateful. And the one thing about Mike and I, were the yin and yang. As you saw, he corrected me. I made a mistake, but you know what? We have learned over the years that there are more than one answers, and people do make mistakes. And so that's the one thing that you learn working investigations and homicide, is you get your partner to say, you know what, maybe over here. And then you have to be willing to roll with that. Will choir practice be open topic, or will you guys pick a topic to focus on? Mike, what do you think? I think we just open it up.
Yeah, we always have something stuck in our craw that we're going to talk about. So we'll probably yammer on, but really this is about you folks. So please just ask the questions. Now, it gets challenging when you say, do you know something about a case? Because as you've seen, and someone just commented, Chris and I really try to give you something that's a little more than just a knee-jerk reaction to something. And we're always trying to level the playing field as we look at things. We're going to focus on people and behavior. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. We're going to focus not on people, but behavior and the crime and the evidence that's coming forward in the crime. And we hope that that's something that you enjoy, because for us, it kind of answers the question without us having to ever ask the question.
Gail Dennison wants to know, what did you really do at choir practice, Mike King?
Well, so I think I was the only guy on our squad that didn't drink. So oftentimes I was the designated driver for some of the other officers who used that as a time to medicate after something bad had happened. I don't know. How about you?
Oh, it was just a time where you would, as a young officer, you would just sit there and you would listen to these guys and gals, just talk about, hey, I went into this building, and I held my flashlight in my right hand, okay, versus my left hand. And they'd look at you and they say, kid, don't do that. Okay. And there's right. I mean, it was more about learning from those veterans out there. And it really is the place where they pass on the knowledge of, incidences where, one thing about women is, you young ladies out there, you have that sixth sense. Okay. We have to learn it. Okay. And that's where that kind of messaging is taught, because, most of us were knuckleheads anyway. So, early riser.
Hey, Rob, what did you do for choir practice? What are your thoughts there?
So since you opened the door, yes, oftentimes there was adult beverages involved, and hanging out together, but letting loose. And like Chris said, I can't count the number of times where everybody stops dead to listen to a story about a deployment, something that's gone wrong, something that's gone right. The achievements of those senior NCOs and officers in some cases, what they've gone through, their battle scars and their wounds, and whether that be physically or mentally that they've experienced. You just can't put a value on those types of lessons. You'll never get that out of a book, a movie, a classroom. It's just invaluable, and it really helps shape who you are as a Marine or a soldier, or I'd say even probably in the law enforcement community as well.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, there's a question for you from Early Riser, and I'm going to tee you up because I want you folks to know Rob has been in the saddle for law enforcement in a lot of investigations across the country, some that he probably cannot talk about still today, and I know that because I was involved with him. But one in particular was the murder of a little girl. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Rob, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Wait, Mike, you got to help me out here. Which one?
Wasn't it in Sacramento?
There was.
Can you talk about that? Oh, maybe you can't talk about it.
I don't know, Mike. I was gonna say, yeah, you gotta. I don't know.
Well, why don't you talk about? Have you been able to use your superpowers to solve crimes?
Okay, so the answer is yes. I with my background in my training, there's every once in a while I'm able to help out and do some good things, and it's always best to be a backseat driver and to help a young investigator or officer with their case, or even another intel analyst that's on the law enforcement side, and maybe give them some suggestions that lead to some opportunities. So yeah, and now I actually know the case you're talking about now, which was you're talking about with the brother. Yeah, that was rather interesting. Where, yes, I don't know if we want to go into that.
All right, we'll do that for another day.
That's another one.
It was one of those opportunities where I had the opportunity to provide a little behavioral understanding to a case that sadly ended up being true, but was the resolution of a homicide of a little girl, Chris, and I think
so.
Rob's
I thought you would have brought up the Golden State Killer, and I gave you what I knew.
This week, by the way, he's being sentenced this week.
And Mike, I gave you the publicly available information, the facts, and you kind of sighed a little bit and you said, "It sounds like a cop." And I was like, I don't know what Mike's doing. Like his magic 8-ball. I don't know what he sees. And then sure enough.
Yeah. Every once in a while you get lucky, don't you? Hey, we have kind of a cool thing going on right now, and folks, we got 864 people on right now. That is just so amazing. Well, thank you so much, Roxy Way, Ms. Snellgill. All of you are just amazing. I want to talk about a little offer we threw out. We're going to run it for another week, and then it's over. But we put, Tyler, if we could put up a little picture here, we got 4 of my books that we're making available on a drawing. So if you're interested in getting something to help you sleep at night, these will help you fall asleep quickly. But they're kind of fun books. One is called Who Killed King Tut? It's an investigation that I did with my mentor, Greg Cooper, who is now running the Cold Case Foundation that Chris and I serve in. Greg and I solved the 3,400-year-old murder of Tutankhamun, and it was a kind of a big deal on the Discovery Channel, and the book's
number one, guys, Emmy award-winning shows, longest running. It was the longest running, right, Mike?
In my home, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the longest running show on the Discovery Channel, most popular, by the way. It did win an Emmy though, so it was great work, great stuff.
Yeah,
but
and
we're not going to tell them about Egypt, are you?
we're gonna do a podcast on Who Killed King Tut, and we're gonna talk about Egypt.
No, not that stuff. I'm talking about you.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna.
Okay, guys, remind me to remind him to tell this story. Okay, I'm gonna hang it out there, but we're gonna get to it. Go ahead, Michael.
The next book is a book called Profilers, and I was invited by a number of profilers to write a chapter in this book. In fact, me and a profiler from Scotland Yard were the only non-FBI profilers that were invited to write a chapter in the book. So we're going to include that. And then a book that Greg and I wrote called Predators, Who They Are and How to Stop Them. This book was designed to be a kind of a manual to help you reduce your risk using a bunch of serial killer and serial sexual predator cases. And I've had many people say it was not a book that helped them go to sleep at night, Chris, but it was still kind of a good book. And then one that I'm just so pleased to be able to share with you, and that's a book called Jane, about the murder of a wonderful woman in 1891 in the Four Corners area of Utah. And she happened to be my great-great-grandmother. And 130 years after her death, I was able to solve her murder, which is kind of outlined in that book. So kind of a fun series of books. Whoever wins in the drawing, you get all 4 of them. And then we're going to send out another 4 copies of Jane out. Now, some of you have complained because like Predators is now $800 on Amazon. We've been working with the distributors to get that reprinted and back on Amazon. It's on back order because of COVID, as are the others. And so please hang in there and don't give up on us, but we're going to do that. But could we put up, I think we did have it up, how you can enter for that. Please enter. We'd love to send it off. And I think we removed the whatever country you're in rule, so we'll be able to send it everywhere. But go to profilingevil.com/giveaway. So with that shameful self-promotion, Rob, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking, I don't have that one, Mike. I don't have Predators. No, what I'm thinking, I just took a look over at the dashboard, and we're pushing almost 400 people just from when we started tonight that have submitted.
Let's put that up, and let's just remind a few people that have come on since we started. Maybe Sunshine, thank you so much. Malachi 324, thank you. Playfully Artistic, Gardy Lou, Crime and Innocence, Moonlight. You guys are just so amazing.
And maybe's asked, what's Buddy's Instagram? It's BuddyBoyJRT. BuddyBoyJRT. He's hysterical. He's around here somewhere. He's out there though. Maybe if I get him in later.
That's great. Hey, Rob, give everybody a quick brief on this dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, if you want to go to that URL right there at the bottom corner of the screen, it takes you to a survey. Real quick, nothing personal, no private information. Just, hey, where are you at? Like city, state, neck of the woods. Just let us know so we know where the listeners are at and all the viewers, and let us know what you're interested in. So we can see right now, current cases is hands down the number one interest with the viewers tonight. So I think this is going to lead to some follow-up, gentlemen. We're going to have to figure out, which current cases people are interested in. So I don't know if this is something the audience wants to see. We can continue this.
That's great. Looks like we got somebody dialing in from Johannesburg, and I'm loving seeing my Aussie friends, but where are the Northwest Territories? Come on, man, Australia. We got to get somebody awake up there. But yeah, thank you so very much. Prissy Girl, yeah, hi from Australia. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
We got some fun things. We're going to look at some cases in Australia and have a little fun down there in the future. Andy, snapping crayons, you always step up. Thank you. GIS related. I'm going to let Rob take that one. Let's put it up on the screen here.
Can we get a copy?
Yep. can we possibly get a copy of the routes from RB Roads Drove? Okay, yes, that was showed last Monday, correct?
Yep.
I will talk with Natalie. I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't share those.
No, in fact, the plan is we just started, we just got licensing to get a new Profiling Evil web area set up. So we'll now have more maps available, and part of that will include Natalie transferring that over, and we'll make some stuff that you all can share and join in with. Hopefully we'll be able to partner up with the folks from NamUs and some of the other places and maybe get their feed directly in so that we can show those in real time. But yeah, thank you so much, Andy Snap and Crayons. So Chris, what do we got?
Well, Mike, we had a question up a little bit ago about JonBenet, what our thoughts were. It was a big question mark. It says, JonBenet, what do you think? So, okay, so a little secret, not a secret, but so back in the day, real fast, I was actually involved in doing some interview in relationship to that case to Lou Schmidt, who was the DA investigator at the time. And just before he left, or he passed away, he left a list of 10 potential subjects. So we're going to give you a little homework because at some point, Mike and I are going to dive into that case. So one of the pieces we'd like you to really process here is you have mom, dad, son, victim. Weapon is a garrote. Okay. Now use the victim continuum and apply the principles. And then we will talk about that as time goes on, about, some of the evidentiary things that took place there. It's pretty much out in the public forum. I mean, as a whole, right, Michael? I mean, pretty much. So we'll kick into that case. But I will tell you that I have to look at the year I did it. I think it was, whenever it was 93, I think, when I sat down with that guy. But Lou had called this subject out, who was a neighbor at the time, and I was selected to go interview him in Southern California when I was there. So we can talk about that at another time. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. And what else we got? We got to talk about. I see a bunch of stuff coming up here on Daybell, on Morphew.
Yeah. Why don't we just jump and talk about Dr. Salerno and the toxicology report that we went through?
Even better.
Yeah, folks, we know that a lot of you saw that video because we got so many requests. We've already recognized that we need to get Dr. Salerno back on. Maybe we'll get her on a live one night, Chris. I don't know, but what an amazing mind. And I have to echo what so many people said, that her content was easy to understand. It wasn't more than a person could deal with. And we got it before. I just got to call out Tony Tsunami for that super sticker. Thank you so much. And Country Cross Stitcher. Oh man, it's great. It's good to have the Aussies here.
And Mike, you're working on a caper in Australia, aren't you? I mean, are you? Well,
I've looked at quite a few, and I think we'll be talking about some of those in the future. Yeah, and to our Aussie friends, I've been in every state in Australia. I've been with the Indigenous people at Uluru. And I just love your country. And so I always smile when I see an Aussie. And it's just so wonderful to have you and folks from all over the world joining in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're grateful. And guys, if you wouldn't mind, if you would hit that subscribe button. And one of the things that I didn't know, if you press that button, it turns blue. I thought, hey, can we turn that button blue? And the producer was like, hey, no, when they press it, it turns blue. So I learned something that night. And then at the same time, if you wouldn't share our channel with your friends and family, we would be so grateful for that. We are growing, but we want to do more. And folks, you being here tonight and sacrificing your time to have trust in Mike and myself. We are so grateful for that, and we're grateful for our mods. I didn't even know what a mod was. Did you know what a mod was, Mike?
Not until I got here. No.
Yeah, exactly. Rob, did you know what a mod was?
No, I didn't.
I tell you what, these are some great people. I mean, they're friends. We have become friends with these people, and they get a little wrench, I think, by their names, don't they? If I'm learning right here. So we're just grateful to you. And you're right. Dr. Amy, she was just a home run.
I'll say, yeah. Let's go back and just kind of remind people why you want to watch this. I mean, we decided that we're not done with the relationship with Joseph Ryan, folks. So we stepped back and we talked about how Joseph Ryan was discovered, what potentially could be some of the reasons for his death, what some of the challenges were that we have without having information. We're just living off of public information like you regarding the autopsy, the depth of autopsy that was performed, given the fact that there had been attempts on his life and other kinds of things. That was troubling. And then we moved from Joseph Ryan, Chris, and we went over to Valo. And what did we talk about there that kind of got you and me thinking we need to do a little bit of a follow-up?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I mean, you grabbed the layout of the house. I mean, that was huge. Guys, I was in this focus on coming down the hallway there, and there was kind of, if you watch the police video and you look at all the interviews and everything, which we kind of we absorbed. And then one day Mike says, hey, I had an aha moment here. Let me show you something. And tee it up, Michael. I mean, where was that?
Yeah, go back and look at the video, folks. But we discovered, at least in Chris and my mind, that the hallway was completely oriented differently than we thought. There are still people that are questioning a semi-automatic weapon discharging, whether it's left side or right side, and basically it depends on the person being left-handed or right-handed, and you can buy weapons that will discharge, but we believe that this was a weapon that discharged to the right, and we walked through why the shell casings potentially could end up where they were. But man, the thing I got was when Dr. Salerno said, listen, I've seen a lot of dead bodies, and they don't lay down that symmetrically.
Yep.
Think about that, folks, and think about how Charles Valo was lying. They don't have CPR conducted on them without other physical evidence to support that happening. And there was one other, and I just lost my train of thought.
The physical, and plus where the body was positioned, and then the type of it looked like he was just anatomically just laying there. And she described that as from medical school, remember? And this idea of, does somebody just fall like this, and, maybe we've seen hundreds and hundreds of situations where it's like, are you serious? There's something wrong here in River City. This one's not lining up. But then you take, to the respondent's question about, what does a gun discharge a right or to the left? In this case, it doesn't matter if it's a left or a right hand. You've got shell casings on both sides. Okay. Yep. There's a problem.
Really good point. Yeah.
There's a problem in River City. Okay. And this is why, Mike and I have said in the beginning, we're not leaving Chandler PD. And what did we find at Alex's autopsy? Who was present there, Mike? Remember?
Yeah, that was a huge thing that Chris, you picked up actually, that I just blew completely by. And I think even Dr. Salerno mentioned, and I'll just see if I quote this correctly, that you somehow find the kernel in all of these things and that nugget of truth. Folks, go back and watch that video, because it's there that Chris identifies that the FBI is in the autopsy. That doesn't happen in normal unattended or attended death cases. That was a really big deal. And before we get too far down the track with Alex and Tammy, I want to talk about Tammy too. I just want to call out Karen Olson, who took care of us with a super sticker there, Carolyn. Thank you so much. And I really liked Kimberly Dagon's comments. I'm going to just put it up here. Similarities with Joseph Ryan, Tammy Daybell, Alex Cox deaths. Stinks to me.
Hey.
Yeah. Why does Tammy stink to us still, Chris?
You know, Dr. Amy has opened a really interesting possibility. There are so many correlating potentials to, poisons, to a variety of different, problems. If we take into the behavioral aspect of this, here's a woman who's described in the community as being, totally respected. She's a runner. She was preparing for a couple of events. Great mom, actively involved in her activities around in her community where she lived. And then simultaneously, on the other side of the coin, her husband is involved in these, this craziness that's going on. Okay. And then you look at all the correlating activities around her up to her. Okay. And next thing you know, she's gone. And Dr. Mike, I mean, you've pointed out, how we've laid it out a couple of times. Really, you had to get rid of some of these other players to get to the main goal here, and not necessarily talking about motive, MO, none of that. Okay, but just all these other pieces of the puzzle needed to get out of the way, and Tammy was one of those last pieces of that puzzle for the other situations to fall into place. And so I think that was a kind of an aha moment for all of us, as a whole.
Yeah. And we saw similarities with Alex and questions about organic phosphates. I think the question was malachite, foxglove. I mean,
Foxglove.
The doc really laid out some interesting concoctions that could lean toward that. So it really got our attention and makes us want to go back and look at things. But here, Rob, I got a question for you. You're on my jury now.
Okay.
If victim 1 dies and somebody gets insurance money for that victim's death, and victim 2 dies and someone is supposed to get insurance money for that death, but the person who dies was smart enough to change the beneficiary at the last moment. And we keep seeing these money trails. Victim 3 dies and the husband gets money. Victim 4, Cox, dies, and Zulema, I'm only assuming, gets money. Folks, there's a couple things we'd really like from you if you could post it up in the evidence room. And we have a few of these, so it might be repetitive, but I'm going to throw it out, Chris, because we'd like to maybe trace this money tree just a little more, and the autopsy tree. Yep. If you have the autopsy or you have access to it from Joseph Ryan, Alex Cox we have, and Joseph Ryan I think we have. Tammy Daybell's has not been released yet. Charles Valo, we know the cause of death. But any information on those, but most importantly, any information on the insurance policies and who the beneficiaries were. And if you happen to have someone out there who's found a copy of that, that would be great. Please post it up in the evidence room. And that just reminded me of somebody that I wanted to call out, and that is Web Sleuths, who tracked down early this morning the affidavit in the Cavett case. I just want to call out Tricia and her team. You guys are all just so great. Awesome. And the fact that we've been able to visit with Linda and hear all the things that she's working on, it's just really great to be able to collaborate and coordinate with you. And how do you not thank the Draper brothers who continue to fight out on the street and do their we're just really grateful to know some of those folks in that arena. And we hear there's a few that are taking shots, and darn it, that's just too bad that they feel like they have to do that, because we just think it's so great that everybody is trying to shed light on these cases and bring resolution to them. So thanks for all of that. But anyway, Chris, I don't know, we want to follow the money. So Rob, does it bug you?
So that's what I was going to say is, from my experience, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money.
There you go.
So I would say it's unless other evidence and information is brought to light, it's pretty damning.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely. And, just Stacy C., new member, thank you for being here. Just to kind of give everybody an idea what we do on Monday nights. This is our first choir practice. Mike, and I decided, what, let's bring everybody into just kind of an open chat, conversation about some of the things going on. And, as we go down the road here, looking at some of the GIS info that Rob's putting together for us, we're going to know specifically about some cool things, but there's a lot going on in this crazy world, Michael.
It's amazing. And I got to just mention on the choir practice thing, even our producer, when we pitched the idea, he's younger and he's like, I don't know. So folks, let us know if you don't agree with it, but we're two old guys that really, choir practice was a really important part of policing. And we're letting you into an inner circle here for choir practice, because this is a place where you can vent, we can vent, and learn from each other. And Castle Rocker Mom, thank you so much for your help on that. It's been great. Rob, as you've read through some of the comments that are streaming in, is there any that have jumped out to you that you want to tackle?
Absolutely. And I also appreciate their persistence, because they posted it a few times, and that's about human trafficking and what's coming up to cover human trafficking.
Yeah.
So Chris, why don't you cover it? Let's just call out real quickly. Lee Walters, thank you for that super sticker, Lee. Really is appreciated. And folks, we know some of you aren't in a position to do that, and we are so grateful that you would even sacrifice your time to be with us. We just love having you here. There are some good things that we can do when people help us out a little bit. But we're not going to stop. We're going to keep working and trying to put together content that's good, one of which Chris is going to talk about right now.
So, this is a home run coming. And we encourage to tell all your friends and family, parents, et cetera. This is a subject that Mike and I and Rob and many others that deal with this on a daily basis in our other worlds, other than YouTube, is human trafficking. It's a problem that's exploded, and it's real. So this Thursday, you're not going to want to miss it. Bring everybody, bring your popcorn. But we're going to have three, Michael? 3 live operators in the field.
Yes.
We're going to blur their faces and stuff, but they're from various parts of the world. We're not going to share where they are right now, because they're really in the middle of operations. And so we've got Underground Railroad coming, and we've got the directors there. We know Tim, who runs the whole operation, but we've got John coming and his team. And this guy is a real hero. He's the real deal, like Rob up here, and many others. One of the things that Michael wanted to do is actually let you guys see the real deal up here. And so that's what we're going to bring to you this Thursday night. And we'll jump into a question here. Michael, what's Dewey up to here?
Oh, it's not even a question. I couldn't take it. Hey guys, choir practice is awesome. I'm the fat lady, and it ain't over till I sing.
We have this. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So no, I didn't mean to interrupt you or throw you off, Chris. No, we are so excited about having Operation Underground Railroad, and folks, we're going to have operators. We can tell you, because they're going to be calling in from Thailand, and a couple of locations across the United States. And this is a real problem. Human trafficking is a real problem. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people every year. It's impacting our children. It's impacting impoverished individuals. It's impacting underprivileged individuals. It is a frightening thing, and we would like you to share, tweet out anything you can do to get every mom and dad that is willing to sign in and listen to these guys as they talk through what they've been experiencing. They're going to give you some advice that I don't think you'll get anywhere else. And for those of you that are willing to throw a few dollars in the kitty, every penny that comes in will be going to Operation Underground Railroad to continue the work that they're doing around the globe, which is just absolutely monumental. And Rob, I know you've had a little bit of work with them in the past, haven't you?
I have. Would like to do some more in the future, definitely. But yes, a great operation, and just amazing what they're doing.
Yeah, and there's some groups out there. I mean, there's other groups too, right? There's a group called the Liver Fund. They are also Nick and a couple Mike and guys like that on those guys. But this Thursday night, you're not going to want to miss Operation Underground with John. It could save your life. A child around you somewhere, and so it's always that state of awareness that these guys can help us out and understand a little bit more about the depth of the problem. So, please be here with us. Share it with your friends. Again, hit that subscribe button. We're not going anywhere right now, so don't leave us yet.
Hey, well, I want to see what the count is on people subscribing, Rob. Let's look at the map and see. Almost 600. Let's see if there are 18 of you out there. If my math's right, that'll push us to 600, which will be really cool to get that. And then we'll show this again on Thursday night just to see what happens when the rest of the world wakes up and watches this over the course of time. Anyway, thanks. So, Chris, are there some questions there that we can answer?
Yeah, he's got one here. Daddy and his Principus. I always thought choir practice was for crooked cops to get their story straight. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, one thing about law enforcement is this, okay? Were there bad apples? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did we peg them? Most definitely. Did I want to hang out with that guy or gal? And by the way, they're both, okay? No, I didn't. And so you're right. Choir practice could be used just for identifying those individuals. And I'll tell you, I guarantee you, IA would be on them, meaning internal affairs would be on them if they opened their mouth and inserted their foot. If 99.9% of all law enforcement that I've ever been exposed to were good people. Now, is there that 1%? No doubt about it. Okay. Did I see it? Yes. Did I do something? Most definitely. So that is a great point, and thank you for bringing that up, because this is one of the reasons this channel exists, is to bring you the real deal, and we're not going to sugarcoat it. So absolutely. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, well, Beverly, thank you. I love the Beatles, always have, always will. And for
who are we? Which one are we?
Yeah, I don't even want to know. But there have been a few folks weighing in asking for the link to the survey. So if we could put that back up, that would be awesome. And again, folks, thanks for signing up on that. Let's see. Oh, and I gotta, if we can go to the map one more time, I just got to see Raul's chatting up the Aussies. I just got to see. Part of this deal is some tribalism, folks. We want to see every country lit up. So yeah, it's good to see. Again, I don't know where the Northwest Territories are, so I know that phone coverage is really bad up there, especially when you talk to the troops that are working across that northern border. But yeah, let's light that up with a few people. And thank you, everyone that's saying you'll be with us on Thursday night. Please invite everyone you know to join up. And
what time is it? One of
6 o'clock Pacific time. So what time would that be? Eastern time, Chris?
9 p.m.
It's kind of a joke at Profiling Evil. Every time we put a time up, everybody asks, yeah, but what time is that? And I don't have the time for Europe or Asia or other places. So please just make sure you figure it out and join up with us. Pink Sugar, thanks. It's so great to have you here with us. It's great to have you signing up. The question from Manuela is, are all crooked cops referred to internal affairs? Sadly not, or not fast enough, Manuela. Police officers do not like crooked cops, and they try to police themselves pretty quickly. That's why things that have happened recently that have sparked all of the distrust and unrest are so offensive to the good police officers out there that are trying to do things the right way.
Mike, pointing out Avalon apples, she says, are you planning on adding merchandise anytime soon? We need a PE Dimples mug. Those are your dimples, Michael. And
I think our producer may have teed up Avalon apples, but
can I say something real fast, Michael, if you don't?
Yeah.
About this idea, right? Okay. So I'm going to share something very personal to me that changed my life. Okay. Back in the day, I was a young patrol officer, and I stopped a guy one night. I'm not going to name his name. He was a hardcore LA gangbanger Crip. He was a Main Street Crip. Okay. This guy was as hard as they come. And he was out there slinging dope, selling dope, okay, at 3 o'clock in the morning. I looked in the back seat, and there's this kid. And I looked at him and I said, dude. And he said to me, he says, hey, McDonough, I'm so sorry. He said, I got to do what I got to do. I got to get through. I said, okay, I get it. Okay. So long story short, I haven't dumped all the dope out because back then you could do that. Okay. And I got him out of the car. I said, crush all this dope. You owe me. Okay. Because that's how you get information back in the day on the street. Okay. And he goes to me, he says, man, he said, you're not going to arrest me? I said, no. In fact, you're going to meet me, okay, at Kmart at 10 a.m. You got that? And he kind of looked at me. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. This guy's. So 10 a.m. shows up. I pull up. I'm off duty, pull up in my private vehicle. I said, let's go. We walked into this Kmart, and I said, pick a car seat. Okay. And he looked at me. He's like, what do you mean? I said, pick a car seat. I said, you can be out on the street at 3 a.m. slinging dope, but your child does not have a choice. Okay. True story. 20-something years later, my phone rings. It's that guy. And he goes, and they used to call me McDuff. Okay. Because they could never pronounce my last name on the street. They could never pronounce McDonough. Okay. It's a good Irish name. Okay. Have the Irish Scot combo. Okay. So he would go McDuff. And I'm like, oh boy, here comes my past, right? Said, yeah, who is this? And he tells me, he goes, I said, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? True. The first words out of his mouth, Mike. He says, I did it. I said, what do you mean you did it? He said, I broke the cycle. I said, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I said, why are you calling me? He said, I want to invite you to my son's graduation at the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Police Academy. I said, the son that was in the back seat? He says, yes. I said, you did do it. Good for you. Keep pushing the rock. Move it. Keep going, buddy. That is what cops do.
Yeah.
And I'm just one guy, and that's just one story. There's 600,000 of these stories out there. And we're grateful that, we have this opportunity to share some of those concepts. We really are. Thank you for indulging me.
I agree. Thank you, Chris. That's awesome. The O'Brien Farm, thank you so much for helping out. And Leila Vogel, thanks. You did the survey. There are a couple people in the northern part of Australia, Rob, that are weighing in saying they haven't showed up yet. So we got to make sure we figure out why. It may be a conspiracy. It may be a conspiracy. Who knows? But that's amazing. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have the Cold Case Foundation on, and that will be a great show. And we're going to continue to work. And folks, please send us notes on the kinds of things that you'd like to see talked about. We'll also be having Rob and Natalie come back as we continue to work out some bigger, more complex cases. One is we're going to try to add a little more context to the Valo case. But anyway, Rob, you've had a pretty full night. First time on Profiling Evil. How have you felt?
It's amazing just watching the comments. It's an amazing audience. Now I see why you guys have so much fun. You have such a lively group, and then the questions, it's amazing. Everybody's support, and I think what you guys are doing is great, and it's great to be part of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, I'll just mention this again, folks. I don't know of any other channel that has two scientists that are working behind the scenes to help bring this stuff to life through geography. And I have been such a fan of geography and criminal investigations, especially when you start looking at the serial predation that's going on, the ability to start seeing things. A couple of things that were popping up to me that I'd like to ask people to look back into is I've been looking really closely at a lot of the Valo dates, and I'm kind of troubled why so many things happen on July 1st in that case. I don't know. I'll let any of you go back and try to do some looking into that. And I hope that we can get Annie from Analytics on with us at some point to talk through her amazing timeline. And Rob, frankly, I'd like to turn you and Natalie loose on putting some link analysis together and work with her in doing something like that. So Annie, we've thrown the gauntlet your way, and you can decide whether you'd like to tee up and do that with us. But Chris, what have you got coming down the pike? What things are you focusing on?
So I'm focusing on still with Suzanne. We haven't forgot that she's still out there. We need to be vigilant in that. There's a great guy, Mike, that helped around her, that George Davis. We found out that he was the Army guy that was brought up by Barry. He was also there in the very beginning and has a good heart, and he was kind of focused in the right direction. So I know that some folks have asked that maybe we can get him on the show, but we'll see. And we don't want to forget about her. Also focusing, I think you and I have talked about maybe taking on some of these other cold cases that have been sitting around for a while. So we've got a lot. Delphi is one of them. Yep. Thank you, Grace. We've got our hooks into that. We're moving into the right direction, but
we actually reached out to the state police on Delphi. Yep. They asked us to wait a couple months, and they'd like to come on. So we'll see if that actually happens. Again, one of the things that we try to bring to the table, folks, is not just speculation, but actually bring the experts in to help augment. So we'll see. And sometimes the timing just isn't right, but no, we're looking at that. It's really interesting. People keep asking about Melanie Gibb, Chris. There's a lot that we're going to learn about Melanie, I think, as time goes on. And there's so much that she has to offer in the investigation. There's going to be a lot of interesting things. And frankly, I'm still waiting to see as we near the actual trial phase, if Chad or Lori turn on one of the others.
Yeah, they roll on each other. And I think right now, Mike, I think the DA needs Melanie. He needs her up on the stand as a witness right now. But I think we both know that keep your eye on Chandler and keep your eye, back in Arizona. Those capers aren't over, and I think they're going to be filing charges at some point here. At some point once everything is adjudicated over in Idaho, I think that's when we'll start seeing the next piece of this puzzle fall into place. So we got a lot on the horizon. We got a lot of stuff coming, and we got great guys like Rob and others, and it's been fun, and it's going to just get better. It's going to get better.
It's been a blast. Folks, we got 1 week left on the drawing for the books. If you're interested, please go to profilingevil.com/giveaway. You can sign up for that book. There was a question earlier about please don't share your information. We have no intention of ever sharing anyone's information, but we're going to use it to reach out to you from time to time and send information. And again, to all of you who have supported us so much, it is so fun to watch all of the information coming in on the feeds. We're continuing to try to figure out this YouTube, so keep critiquing us, keep sending us suggestions and ideas. We really want to be a part of it. Rob, it's been such an honor to have you with us. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you for being my friend for the last 15 years as we've been all over the world together looking at investigations and other kinds of things for law enforcement. You have so much to offer. So
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. It's been great.
Yes, sir.
And Chris, I'm going to give you the final word, which I probably don't do enough. What kind of insight do you got? You didn't yell out code 33 tonight, which I was a little disturbed by, but
sorry about that.
A good way to wrap things up.
Well, Rob is a testament to the good people on the other side of the coin. And there's the old saying, when the man got to the middle of the canyon, he was asked to push the rock. And as he pushed, and over time, he got to the top and he realized that he could not move that rock. Okay. However, something on the other side of, unseen divine help gave him an impression. I never told you to push it. That's my job. I've only asked you to push. Okay. Meaning I didn't tell you to move it. That's my job. I only asked you to push. Okay. Sometimes life feels like we're pushing a rock. Okay. And I think Mike and I have learned over time that if you need help, reach out to that one person, either a friend or a neighbor or somebody, and ask them to give you the assistance to help you push that rock. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Keep moving forward, whatever that is. And we are grateful that you're here with us in the PE family. And we thank you for being here tonight. And hopefully we get to see you on Thursday night. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
And thank you for your trust.
Thank you. Avalon Apples, thank you so much. And folks, thanks for joining us at the first choir practice. We look forward to seeing you next week.
See you on the next one.